Hello, everybody. It is Monday, December 14th. It's only been one day since I published my first video, but I had a really good time doing it, so I decided to get right back into doing another one. As mentioned at the end of my last video, I wanted to do what I've purchased for haul videos and then what is sold. So, if you are new to my channel, my name is Patrick. I am a reseller that sells mostly on eBay in Connecticut, and I've been doing it for about 8 years, off and on here and there. Really expanded, probably about starting about 6 years ago, and really just having a good time with it. Would love to go full time at some point. Who knows? But yeah, let's get into going over what has sold. So I don't know how everybody does it. Personally, I like to do a lot of my work in Excel. So I track during the week what has sold and how much it sold for, and then I can also put in the cost of goods. And then just keeping week over week, like here's how many items I have in my store, here's how much it sold for, here's what it sold, here's what it sold for, here's the totals, here's the cost of goods sold, all the hours I put in, really just trying to track it. So then that makes it very easy to just go through all the different things that have sold, and you can see just like what it all is. These are almost in the same order here as we'll go. 'Tis the season here. You can see I sold it for $10.99 with free shipping. For whatever reason, I had decided a few years ago that $7 was my minimum I could have as far as like an item sold. I wanted to have it be $7 or higher. It's pretty arbitrary, but for whatever reason, I've stuck with my rules over the years. So this one, I figured it would cost about $4 to ship it first class. So 7 plus 4, $10.99. And I know I'm going to have eBay fees on top of that, but you can see on my Excel sheet here, I only paid $1.83 for it. Not the best profit, probably. That's another kind of quirky thing that I do that I don't know if a lot of people do. If I buy a lot of items, I tend to take the total value and the total spent, and then I allocate the total spent via the percentage of the total value. A little bit hard to follow, but say this item was 5% of the total value, it would get 5% of the total spent. So it tends to make some really weird numbers here, right? Like if we were buying this in person, probably it wouldn't be $1.83, it'd be $1.99, maybe $2, $3, something like that. But that allows me to do bundling. Right? I'm big into the bundling idea of buying a whole bunch of different stuff. Some things may be high price, some things may be low, but it allows me to allocate that spend via the whole price of the lot, not just what the individual item cost. I know it's a little bit of a justification to buy things that don't have as much value. The second item here, I got the 'Tis the Season. I had bought that off of an online auction back in the spring, when there wasn't a lot of stuff available out in the world. And it was bidding on the site and then local pickup only. So my wife and I had to drive to the location of the sale and then pick up all the things we had won. And I had bought a ton of Department 56, hence why it's not like the best price in the world for a $7 item, but it was what we had to do in 2020. This next item is actually a commission for my in laws. Recently, we helped my wife's parents move all the stuff out of her grandmother's house, and we went through the attic and we found just tons and tons of stuff. We could have sold and sold and sold and sold stuff, but I kind of cherry picked some of the stuff that I really wanted to sell. This one, for whatever reason, her dad really liked, and just he put batteries in it. He was playing with it, and then he's like, "Okay, I'm good." And I'm like, "I'm gonna try and sell it." Didn't really have a ton of value. After shipping, I think it ended up selling for about $9, which we can see here. Yeah, $9. So then my commission price on things I sell for friends and family, at least for a starting point, is 40%. So I get 40%, they get 40%, and then eBay and fees and everything else gets 20%. And then it can be variable, and definitely it's just a place to start as far as like where we negotiate from. All right, third item on my list here is reel-to-reel tapes. I had gone to an estate sale with my wife probably in July, and it was later in the day. I like to go late in the day because I like to get the closeout prices almost, right, where there's not a lot of stuff left and they really want it gone. and just kind of picking over some things. And a lot of times I'm able to pick up even some high dollar items at a really low price, but you also have to put up with or pick through what's left over. You don't really get the cream of the crop stuff, but it allows you to like stay away from people this year, which was really nice. There's usually not a lot of people there, and then they're usually really happy to get rid of it really cheaply. And I found this box of reel-to-reel tapes, and there was one in there that I thought was really good. It was a Neil Diamond, so I was like, I already wanted to buy that, and they told me it was $1 a piece. So I grabbed that one and one other, and she said, you know what? You can have the whole box for $5. So I got 7 of them, plus 5 more that were blank. At least I could do. I've listed them as sold as blank at least. Looks like they may have had like concert recordings or something on there. And yeah, I sold the Neil Diamond a few months ago, actually for around $30. I've sold another one that was in that lot for like 15 to 20, and then these I listed and sold within a day for 15. And I've still got the blanks listed. I think I listed them at like $20, and I'd probably take an offer on those if they didn't sell very quickly. But yeah, it's like one of those things where it's not something you're going to think about as being high value, but it was easy to sell. I didn't test these things. I listed them as untested. Just, you know, easy to sell and something that you can get really cheap. So one of those things that I like to look for. All right, we got Artemis Fowl books. One of my main things I've been doing this year has been book lots, especially like children's book series, and almost like the more books you can get in that series, the better. I think probably everybody knows Harry Potter, especially the hardbacks. If you can sell all 7 of those, you can get depending on time of year, anywhere from $40 to $70 on them. Just depends on time of year. So I started thinking like, well, what other series could I look into? So I've been buying Artemis Fowl. I bought, I don't know, I think 150 of these like young adult horse books. And I sold those for over $100. I think I ended up paying 20 for them. So I was like, what a great deal, and what a kind of overlooked niche. Someplace you can do. Hardy Boys books always do well. Started looking into adults as well, like what series are good. So Stephen King books have been pretty good. Some James Patterson's done pretty good. And it's just like, what other series can I buy that I'm going to be able to maybe pick up the whole series all at once, maybe buy a couple books here and there and build myself a set. So let's see. I sold that for $25 plus shipping, and I ended up paying about $6 for it. So not too bad overall. And again, that's another one of those easy things to list. Didn't have to test it. Didn't have to make sure that the batteries weren't corroded. It was just books. I could just take pictures and list them. Let's see. The next item is the Masterpiece Art Auction game. This was at a tag sale that wasn't too far from here later in the summer, and I got there pretty much right when they opened. I remember they had Harry Potter books, so I was really happy to pick up those. And then I asked, like, what do you have any of this type of stuff? Toys, video games, board games, like all sorts of stuff. And they said, oh, yeah, we do have a pile of board games. Do you want to look through them? So they brought them out. And immediately I was like, oh, Masterpiece. I know that tends to sell for about $30. And they wanted $1 each. So like home run, right? Very easy to pick that one up. And then when I got home, I realized that not only was it Masterpiece, but it was basically still sealed. You can kind of see it in this picture. Like there's the pieces here at the top, completely still sealed in their bag. This little thing was completely still sealed. So I sold it as new and open box here. You can see that. And I put it pretty high. I listed it for 60. And I've got some of the post office boxes, like the large flat rate boxes that'll fit a board game. So it's just pretty much going to be about that price, the $21. It sat for a little while, but I'm okay with it sitting for a few months if I can get this $60. It sits flat on my shelves, so it doesn't take up a lot of space. I was really happy with that. I think I had done, right, there's the same thing where I had priced, I think I paid $1 for it, but I allocated a little bit more than that because I bought some other stuff from them. Another board game is next, Cranium. I had picked this one up at a Goodwill, probably like $5, I think. I paid a little bit more for it. I had thought it was a different version of it, and then when I got home, I realized it was not the version I thought it was when I was looking it up. So it sat for a good long time. It wasn't a good amount of value. This is one of those things where I'm wondering if I get into if I get into Amazon FBA, that I'd be able to send it in, right? It's brand new in box. It's something that might be somebody might want to order from Amazon. So maybe a better fit for that platform than for eBay. But I mean, it did sell, especially right around Christmas time. Like a lot of stuff is selling from the toys category right now. All right. Camcorder. This was my sale of the week. I love selling these little high 8 millimeter, a couple other different sized camcorders. I can usually find about one a weekend when I'm going out to tag sales. I even still find them at Goodwill occasionally. They tend to price them a little bit higher, but I occasionally do find them. I did find one last week, as you saw potentially in my haul video from yesterday. But this one was from a reseller actually. My wife and I went to the garage sale, and they had three of them sitting in a little tray on top of a DVD VHS player, and I was ecstatic. I was like, I want to buy these right away. And I was like, why do they have three of them? And like the more I looked around the garage, the more I realized that it was a reseller. But the good news was that they were moving, and they were trying to just move the merchandise as quickly as possible. So I bought all three cameras. I bought the DVD VHS player. I bought a TI-84, I think, calculator, and I got some toys and a bunch of other stuff. And I paid $50 total for everything. And you can see, like, this one sold for $100 plus shipping. So it was a home run. I just did really, really well at that sale. Really happy with that. How much did I allocate to it? I allocated $17 for it. Even if you think about it like that, like I did really well overall. It was really fun. The next one, this is a little more recent actually. It was a late summer pickup. Um, Not an estate sale, but it was like they listed it sort of like an estate sale. When I got there, I immediately noticed that she had a Darth Vader figure case that was just sitting on a table, and she said, "Oh yeah, I started pulling out some of my son's old toys. I didn't even realize that it was there." And so I was really excited about that. I'm like, okay, well, I definitely want to buy that. And she said, "Oh, I got some guy who's coming back. I can't sell it to you." And I said, "Okay, no problem. You know, that sometimes happens." And I said, "Well, what else do you have?" And she said, "Well, I have this big box of who knows what. Do you want to go through it?" And inside the box, there was this tote bag just full of old 80s ephemera, G.I. Joe card backs, Star Wars card backs, the GoBot card backs, just a ton of stuff. And I said, "I'm interested in this, you know." And she says, "Oh, there's no toys in there?" And I said, "No, it's just the paperwork." And she said, "Okay, well, how about $5 for the whole bag?" And I was really happy about that. So I said, "Okay, well, I'll buy this if you sell me the Darth Vader figure case." And she says, "Yeah, I don't know that he's coming back." She says, "How much does that sell for on eBay?" I said, "I don't know. I would assume like $25. And she says, "Okay, well, how about $20 for the Darth Vader then?" And I said, I was like, she could tell I wasn't really interested in it at that price. And she says, "Well, if you buy that, if I find any more, I'll call you, and you can have first choice." And I said, "All right, I'm willing to take a chance with that at that point." So she did that. I was really glad that I made that deal because she did call me, and she pulled out some old Nintendo stuff. She ended up selling me this and all of his accessories. This is a a robotic operating buddy, something like that, for the original Nintendo. I never had one growing up, but I always thought it was really cool. It sort of is one of the icons of the original Nintendo era. So see, it even had the battery cover on the bottom. Like, what an interesting item to pick up. I've already sold most of the components to it. I've decided to keep him just because he's had a really interesting look about him. He's iconic. I just really like having him in my collection. You can see behind me, I've got a shield up on the wall back there. That's a Zelda shield that I had picked up at a tag sale, a garage sale a couple of years ago. So I'm not above like keeping stuff for my own collection sometimes, especially this guy. He's super cool. It's the first one I've ever found at a garage sale. Like I've never been able to find them. So these were super neat. I wasn't even sure how much they were worth. So I didn't even put any dollar value against it when I first bought it. You can see I put it here as $0. I think I assigned most of the value to like the GI Joes, to the Darth Vader case, like that kind of stuff. But I probably should have. The next item here is a video game. First one we've come across. This one's a computer game though. I recognized the game. I had never played it, but I knew some of my friends had when I was in college. This was the second in the series. And what really made me want to buy it was that it had the bigger box. It was the PC game in the big box. And I know those are getting more and more collectible as time goes on. So I'd asked the people at the sale like how much they were asking for, and they only wanted $1. So I was able to get that. I got the Mist, right? You saw that you see that this is the sequel to that. So each of those for $1, and then I think I got a VCR from them for a couple dollars as well. So it was a good deal. I probably didn't price it high enough as it sold within about 30 minutes, but money in is always better than money out, in my opinion, when this stuff is going on. Like, hey, I could have sold it maybe for a couple dollars more, but I'm happy to get the sale. I'm happy that my sale paid off like right away. All right, next item is from my personal collection. I had bought this a few years ago at a tag sale, and I really just had a whole bunch of Star Trek and Star Wars ornaments on my tree, and I just liked having all that stuff around my house. I've pared that down a little bit now. I've tried to make sure I include a lot of my other hobbies in my Christmas tree decorating and around my house. So I listed this at $20. I got an offer of 15, and I couldn't resist. I counteroffered with 1701. Right, you can see the name right in the title there. It says NCC 1701 for the Enterprises logo. I couldn't resist. It was super fun to do it. It's super nerdy. I just had a good time with it. So I'm glad to sell that. It went right away. From the same sale as the video camera, I told you I had gotten some toys. One of the things that I got was all of these tech decks, these skateboards here. Um, they sat for a little while. The bicycles do a little bit better than the skateboards do, but even still, like $25, I think I ended up paying between $5 and $10 for them. 580, there we go. So like not a bad flip at all for basically $6. I've mentioned DVD VHS players. Like that's one of the items I kind of feel like is in my bread and butter items, similar to the video cameras. Constantly buying these. Lots and lots of resellers will tell you the same thing. This probably is not going to be news to anybody. I got this at Goodwill. One of the ones that I hit constantly. There's like 3 of them that are close to me, so I'm constantly going to this Goodwill and constantly finding these systems there. It was a little bit beat up. They wanted $10 for it, so I definitely looked this one up on eBay before I bought it. I just wanted to make sure that it wasn't going to be one of the ones that going for like $20, $25, $30. I wanted to be able to make $40, $50, $60 on it. The Insignia brand, right? That's not one of your premier brands like a Sony or Panasonic, but I was happy to sell this for $50, no doubt. So let's see, I think I signed it $9. My next item here is another commission. My friend Heather, she was helping her father move out of his place, and he had a whole bunch of stuff that went into storage. And so her and I have been slowly going through all of his stuff in storage. He needed some help to pay the bills, so we're selling it off. This is one of those things that is a great learning item because at first glance I wouldn't have thought this had any value. Right? The only thing that maybe tipped me off is it's older. But just looking at it in a pile of other stuff, you may think this has no value. But I already had it, and I tend to get a lot of that type of stuff where it's like I bought a box of stuff for a couple different items in there, and then there's a ton of other stuff in the box. And so I've adopted this rule over the years of always look everything up. No matter what it is, look it up. You never know if it's going to have value. And so this is one of those things. I was just going through all this stuff that she had from her father, and I came across this magazine, really thin, shipped flat, $15. I shipped it first class and wrote "Do not bend" all over it, so hopefully it'll get there in good condition. But same idea as I did for the other one. I did it at 40% of what the value was. The next 2 items were commissions, again, from my in-laws. We found all of these old vintage Dawn doll accessories and actually dolls. And so I've been selling through those. They've been very popular. The clothes, not as much as the dolls have been, but very, very good. Super fun to research this stuff. Like I had no idea what it was. It's kind of clearly a Barbie ripoff, but same rule as I said in my last video, if you remember, like it doesn't really matter if you like it or if you know why anybody would want to buy it. All we're doing as resellers is just finding stuff that people want to buy and selling it. And so we'll do the next one. One person had bought both of these, so I gave them a discount since I was going to only have to do one box, one packaging job, one weighing, right? Saves on time. So I gave them a pretty good discount. I think I sold it 50 plus shipping for both of them. And you can see that it's the same thing I had talked about last time, 40% for both of those. While my in-laws were moving out of my wife's grandmother's house, the town that they live in was having a townwide tag sale. So I went out and I spent probably 6 or 7 hours just going to all of the houses in town. I was really glad since the summer had been pretty light on tag sales overall to be able to just hit as many as I did that day. Within the first 2 hours, which is usually is pretty common. Like I got most of the video games that I was going to get for the day. In one of the lots, there was this neat little UDraw tablet for the 360. I found the one for the Wii many times, right? Because the Wii controller connects to it very easily. Versus this one for the 360 has to be almost its own controller, so it takes its own batteries. It has to be able to map over to it. So I'm sure this was a little bit more expensive for the UDraw people to create. I wasn't sure how much I was really going to get for it. I thought maybe $10 to $15. I priced it high thinking maybe the Christmas crowd would purchase it, and I got lucky and sure enough sold it for my asking price within a few weeks of listing. So what did I assign to it? I assigned $2.56. Like, what a deal. This next item I got from another reseller. My wife and I went to this little condo association, which I usually hate to go to. The condo houses are just not big enough to have a lot of stuff in them usually. But we were there. There weren't very many sales that day, so I was like, I'll take a look. And this lady had all this school stuff and home teaching stuff, and her prices were not great. But I did find this, and I had scanned it on eBay to look it up. Knew it was selling for $20, $25, and she wanted $5 for it. I didn't really think it was a great deal. I knew it was going to be a little longer tail, but I was like, you know what? Let's just pick this up, and I'll put it on the shelf until Christmas and see if I can sell it at that point. And that's exactly what ended up happening. It sold a couple days ago for, I'm guessing, a Christmas present. So glad to see that go as well. All right, coming down to the last couple here. A Wii Fit balance board. These were super popular within the first few years of release, and I was finding them everywhere because most of the people who bought them were just putting them in the closet, never to be used again. And the price has just fallen off. And only this year did I see that the price popped back up again. I'm wondering if it's COVID again. Like people don't have the ability to work out, so maybe they're using the fitness boards to do a workout. Maybe they're giving them to the kids to give them something to do. I don't know. I've sold a few of them this year. They're still pretty long tail items, usually for around $20. I priced this a little higher than that. I had priced it at $30 because it had the Jillian Michaels program along with it. But I ended up taking an offer of $24. It was reasonable. I don't think I paid a ton for it. I think I got it as a lot. Yeah, I paid $2 for this whole set. So no bad there. And the last item that sold in last week, I take my weeks as Monday through Sunday. So this would have sold probably on Sunday at some point. This again was from my personal collection. I was trying to pare down my Star Trek ornaments. So I knew the Spock one was worth about $10 all by itself, but the Kirk one was only selling for about $5. So that's below my $7 threshold. And I was like, well, maybe I can try bundling them. So I priced it together at $20, and then within a few days got the offer of $15. And I was like, that's exactly what I thought it was worth. It was $15. So I was like, I just took it and shipped it out and was glad somebody's going to find it and be able to have it. All right, well, that is it for this week. You can see my total here. Total sold $504. Not one of my best weeks. My best weeks this year have been around $800. My personal goal is a $700 week. I want to be able to sell about $100 a day. And that, right, to keep it clear, like I'm part-time. I still have a full-time job that I have to go to every day and do that and be able to do that well and not be focused on eBay all day. So I have to try to limit myself a little bit on how much I'm listing during the day. So what I tend to do is get up early, test and take pictures and do weights. And then during my lunch break, I'll do all my picture editing, I'll do my listings, and make sure everything's up. And then before we go to bed every night, my wife helps me ship everything out. Yeah, in theory, I'd like to be at the 10, 10, 10 a day. So it's listing 10 items, selling 10 items, and shipping 10 items. I think that is a little ways off. So what I've been trying to do as a goal for myself is 5 items listing a day, Monday through Friday, which gets at 25 items. What I found, and maybe you found this too, is that what I put into eBay, I tend to get out. So last week I listed 22 items and I sold 19. Um, that was because I ended up taking Friday off of work and just took a day for myself just to putz around the house and do some stuff that I wanted to do that wasn't eBay, wasn't work, wasn't really anything. And I find that that really helps. I've been trying to do that a lot in 2020 just to try and use my vacation time, try and not work a little bit. The week before that, right, you can see there's my 25 items, and I had only sold 16. Again, it wasn't the best week, about $500. The week before that, I was on vacation, so I still sold quite a bit. But you can see most weeks it lines up pretty well with the 25 selling usually around 20 items, it looks like. And you can see here's where I was selling almost $800 a week. So not my best week ever, but I'll take it just because right, I'm not buying a lot of stuff at this time of year. I'm starting to get pretty light on easy to sell inventory. Most of what I've got left now is going to require repair. It's going to require potentially testing. So it's going to take a little bit of time. So that's it, guys. I think I forgot this last time. Still getting new, but please do like and subscribe. And thank you very much for watching my video.